The scale of this tragedy, which officials say is the worst such incident in 4 decades, has brought both grief and recrimination. The immediate focus, though, is on trying to save the lives of the many critically injured victims now in hospital.
They say hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, but for Nasra Al Enezi, it wasn't fury that consumed her. It was heartbreak, humiliation, and years of being unseen in her own home. A wife betrayed, a mother fighting a silent battle, trying to care for her boys while her own mind began to unravel. Each day the walls closed in, the loneliness that whispers, the pain that no one wanted to see, until one day everything she loved slipped away, and the woman Kuwait once knew vanished into the fire of her own despair. This is not just a story about anger, it's a story about the breaking point. And to understand how it happened, we must first understand the world she came from, the country of Kuwait. Today's case takes us to the oil-rich country of Kuwait. Kuwait is a tiny country nestling in the top of the Gulf. Its neighbors are Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Iran. Kuwait has a massive oil reserves, which makes it one of the world's richest countries per capita. The Kuwaiti dinar is the highest valued currency in the world. Also, this little country is well known for its extreme hot temperatures. It has been recorded to reach a scorching temperatures of 53.2 Celsius or 127.7 degrees Fahrenheit, making it among the hottest places on earth. Kuwaitis are well known to have the warm Arabian hospitality. With the wealth of the land, an almost crime-free country, it is the biggest shock when a tragedy strikes. On the 15th of August 2009, there was a horrendous fire that happened in Al Jahra Ayun, Kuwait. It was believed to be an arson attack that occurred during a wedding ceremony. Many lives were lost and many more were wounded. This case was not as clear-cut as it seems. 23-year-old Nasra Yusuf Mahmoud Al Enezi was married to 36-year-old Zaid Safiri. They had 2 boys, aged 5 and 3. The boys were reportedly to have some disabilities. In Kuwaiti law, men are permitted to have multiple wives, if they can take the responsibility, up to 4 wives, and it's culturally acceptable. Nasra's husband decided to marry again. Understandably, Nasra was not happy with this decision her husband has made, but she did not have much options and was not able to change his mind. In August 2009, Zaid planned to celebrate his second marriage by having a lavish wedding in a tent. On the 15th of August 2009, the tiny Middle Eastern nation of Kuwait witnessed the deadliest civilian tragedy in the country's history that would send shockwaves throughout the country. The tragedy would forever be ingrained in the minds of Kuwaitis and lead to one of the only times the nation implemented the death penalty on a woman. Inside one of the wedding tent, there were women and children who were celebrating and enjoying the wedding party, not knowing the evil that was about to happen. In some countries, including Kuwait, it's customary and a norm for men and women to be segregated at weddings. On this fatal night, the female tent was packed with over 100 guests, dancing, eating, celebrating with their loved ones. The tent was suddenly engulfed in flames. Nasra was spotted outside. It was claimed Nasra poured petrol on the tent where women and children were celebrating and set it on fire. Quickly, the tent was engulfed in flames, trapping many inside. With only one exit, the guests panicked and tried to flee, causing a stampede. Unfortunately, many were not able to escape and were trapped inside. The entire tent burnt down in 3 minutes. It later had been claimed that the temperatures inside the tent was above 500 Celsius or 930 Fahrenheit. This fatal night claimed the lives of 57 women and children and left 90 more injured. The bodies of many of the victims were unrecognizable due to the intense burns and had to be identified using DNA and dental records. It was the deadliest recorded civilian disaster in Kuwait. Both the bride and groom survived the fire unharmed, but the bride's mother and sister lost their lives. Following the incident, these venues were deemed illegal due to the lack of fire safety measures. It did not take long for the investigators to discover that the fire was deliberately started. The day after the incident, Nasra was apprehended. Nasra initially admitted to committing the crime. She faced charges of premeditated murder, attempted murder, and arson.
The intensity of the fire was clear from how little it left behind. When it began, the tent which had occupied this scorched space was packed with women and children celebrating a wedding. Fire officials say the temperature inside would have reached 1500 Celsius within just 2 minutes. They say the tent was made of highly flammable material and failed to comply with other safety regulations.
The tent had only one exit, which caused a stampede when the fire broke out, leading to the fall of more victims. These tents lack the necessary authorized safety equipment. Tents that we authorize are equipped with multiple fire exits. We will investigate along with other authorities what caused the incident.
Kuwait's Interior Ministry said rescuers had difficulty evacuating the injured because the scene, a densely populated residential area, was flooded with onlookers and relatives.
This catastrophe is one of the worst to take place in Kuwait. My prayers go out to the people of Kuwait and the families of the victims.
The Interior Minister should inform us about the cause of this accident. Whatever caused this, we will not remain silent. We will hold the minister, any minister, accountable for this.
The scale of this tragedy, which officials say is the worst such incident in 4 decades, has brought both grief and recrimination. The immediate focus, though, is on trying to save the lives of the many critically injured victims now in hospital.
Nasra then claimed physical and mental abuse at the hands of her husband, and his relatives drove her to set the tent on fire. Nasra later claimed that she poured cursed water onto the tent in a black magic ritual, but not gasoline. Some sources reported that murder was never her intention, and she wanted to ruin the celebration. However, the tent's material was highly flammable, and the lack of fire exits caused this tragedy. The investigation concluded that Nasra instigated the fire intentionally. Nasra's trial began on the 27th of October 2009. Initially, she denied the charges and claimed that her confession was made under duress. According to Kuwaiti law, death sentences for pregnant women are commuted to a life sentence. Nasra claimed that she was pregnant with her 3rd child during her incarceration. She alleged that a prison employee related to her husband gave her abortion pills, causing her to lose her baby. Her defense lawyer requested that Nasra undergo psychiatric testing, claiming that she had mental health issues in her childhood. The court also summoned Nasra's husband and maid to testify. The maid claimed she saw Nasra outside the tent pouring liquid. Nasra's lawyer believed that the public opinion played a role in the trial's outcome, and the verdict was already decided by the intense public reaction. The death penalty verdict is common in Kuwait for cases of murder. The judgment is rarely carried forth for women. Another layer to consider in Kuwaiti law is the victim's family's right to retribution. The victim's families can waive the right to retribution and make a deal with the accused in a court of law, which will remove the death penalty option. However, considering the high number of victims and nature of the victim's death, not a single family member waived their rights to retribution. Her lawyer hoped that her young age and mental state would make her eligible for pardon, but the courts upheld the death penalty. On March 30th, 2010, Nasra was found guilty of the murder. She was found guilty on 57 counts of premeditated murder and starting a fire with intent to kill. Judge Adil Asaga sentenced Nasra to death, a verdict that was upheld by the appeal court and the highest court in Kuwait. This was first instance where a female citizen of Kuwait had received a death sentence that was upheld by the country's highest court. The media was not allowed to witness the hanging, and there was little negative reaction in the press. The morning of the execution, security was tight with snipers positioned near nearby roofs. Several men and women were being executed on the same day as Nasra, including reports of a male belonging to the royal family. At the age of 26, Nasra was executed by hanging by the prison authorities on the 25th of January 2017. There is a little doubt that Nasra was the perpetrator of the crime, but what is far from clear is whether she intended the horrific outcome or whether she just wanted to disrupt the wedding ceremony as a protest or driven by jealousy. Given the ensuing carnage, public opinion was hardly on her side. Please like and subscribe.